Hey, I'm Kay from K Studios, and today I am representing Studio Sessions. So, this week I had the pleasure of being able to speak with the cast and crew for the new film that is premiering on BT Plus today called The Accused.
911, what's your emergency?
Hi, my fiance is not breathing.
I'm Detective Lance Branson. You want to tell me what happened here?
I came home from work and found my fiance. Jordan! Jordan!
I was fortunate enough to actually sit in a press conference with these guys and talk with them. And I'm going to plug the clip in here so you guys can take away some of the goodies that I left with that they gave me. And I think the biggest takeaway was to just trust the process. Hi. My name is Kayla Turner. I'm representing Studio Sessions powered by K Studios. And one of the things we really like to dive into is the creative process. So, my question is for Tony, as someone who I've worked on a lot of creative projects to do a lot of different things, that I would say I'm more of like a baby filmmaker. But one thing I can always count on is that something will go wrong. Like something is going to go crazy, that it's not going to go as planned. And I'm curious, was there any memorable moments where something didn't go as planned, but it actually worked out better that way? Or if something didn't go as planned and, how did you handle pivoting in that moment?
Yeah, absolutely. The first thing I would say is to refer you to Crystal's earlier statement about aspiring and baby, and those words. I would just strike all those words clean. There's no point to judge it. You are that. We'll just move forward from there. That'd be I would just reinforce what Crystal said, because I think that's right. I think you should approach those things. And I've always been someone who looked as problems or challenges as gifts. I think they end up unearthing something that is far better. The example that comes to mind is the final set piece for the film, which takes place in this empty mall, had two previous locations, and each one fell out for different reasons. The one we initially went for, it fell out. We were then in an old Kmart building that we worked out in, and we had a conveyor belt. It was really fantastic, and that fell out as well. And the third one was looking at a similar building like the Kmart building in a place, and then I found out that there was a portion of a mall that was actually shut down and set to be demoed, and we saw that almost by accident. And I have a good relationship with the owner of that, and he actually delayed the demo so we can be in there. But the moment I saw that location, it occurred to me that since so much of this is about the death of communities and how communities are being co-opted and burnt out, that of course the mall has to be the set piece. This, of course, was the location that we didn't know we were looking for until I almost tripped on it. And there it was, and I didn't even know it was an option too. So in fairness, I didn't know what it was. But to your other point, so that was a perfect example of how a problem ended up being a gift and ended up serving the story far better than what some of the earlier planned ideas were about this, the best efforts. And then to your earlier point about how do you handle that and how do you pivot, you I was sort of I came up as an actor, and so I sort of I sort of process everything through acting terms, and for me it's all about the process. And for me, it's all about the moment and going from sort of unanticipated moment to unanticipated moment. And there's real value in just not panicking. And there's real value to letting the problems wash over you and sitting with things, because all you can really do as an artist and as a storyteller is know the story you're telling and be so wedded and grounded in it, so that when the problems come up, your obvious pivot is going to always be, well, it's coming from the story. So we're going to do this. And which is why when the mall came up, it was like a light bulb went up, of course. And there was no real stress about it. Although I was surrounded by a lot of stress, and there were a couple hours where I thought, well, this is becoming very existential. But you deal with it by focusing on why you're there. You deal with it by the story at hand, the things that brought you there. You always remember what brought you to the table, because that'll be the thing that I, speaking just for myself, that they're the things that saved me. I'm like, what's the story? We lost this, we lost that. Everything's crazy. I now have 2 hours instead of 4 hours. How am I supposed to possibly get through this? Okay, take a minute. What's the story? What's this about? And if you're in it and you have it, that becomes your pivot, you know. And I think after a certain amount of time, you just start to trust the process. And so I learned that as an actor, and I've always carried that with me in every other iteration that I do, whether it's writing, producing, or directing. I just trust the process. I just trust my understanding of the story. I trust all the people who are now here to help save this with me to bring this to the next place. I trust them implicitly. And I think somewhere in the trust, good things happen.
And I will say, just to tell you about Tony as a director, one of the most impressive things for me as a person who's involved in producing and financing is seeing his calm. He really, no matter what happened, it didn't matter what happened, he was always calm. And his calm really helped. No one else knew what was going on, but we knew what was going on. But because he was so calm, no one around him was freaking out. So I really, as a producer or someone who's dealing with money, just appreciate that so much, because your director on set is really, the producer steps back. It's really the director when it comes to that moment when he's leading the set. And when you get a director who's calm no matter what happens, it is the best thing for any producer, because now you can think and go, okay, well, can we do this? How are we going to make this happen? And yeah, Tony needed 4 hours, but Tony, we got 2. What are we going to do? He's not upset. He's not angry. He's not yelling. He's calm. He's thoughtful. He's patient. And all of those things, really, I think it comes through in the film.
Thank you. Thanks, Pierre.
Yeah.
I love that. Thank you. Thank you, guys.
Of course.
Come out with your hands up or we will shoot you.